Hello. This is a planer or a thickness planer. Sometimes they call it a surfacer. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of it actually first. Let's start there. So pull this open. Maybe take a look. We've got these right here. You can see inside of there, it's got these grooves on it. Come look right here. So he's got these grooves. These are going to grab the board and pull it through as it starts to spin. Right here, this is the blade or blades. It's like this spiral thing. There's like I don't even know how many blades are on there. And then on the back end, it's got this rubber roller, and that grabs it and it will pull it through the rest of the way. So as you feed a board in, it's going to get grabbed and pulled through the rest of the way. And so one of the things we need to make sure right there, how long should a board be? 12 inches minimum. Okay, because if it's not long enough, it's not going to get pulled all the way through. Okay, we want to make sure to check for nail screws and all that kind of stuff. There's a couple of things we don't run through here. Right here we've got some plywood. Okay, or particle board. It's made up of sawdust and glue. Okay, and this is not going to be good running through here. It'll pull chunks out of it. It won't leave a clean cut. This is our plywood, and there's a lot of plies on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plies. 11 ply. This is a nice piece of wood. And they're just glued and stacked on each other, and they actually make it stronger because wood breaks along the grain. And I think somebody broke this one. Thanks for doing that, jerk face. But it broke right along the grain there, so it snapped pretty easy, right? But it's not going to snap as easy this way. Like I can't just break it, okay? And so what they do with plywood is they layer those. So the top layer has the grain going this way, and the next one, and back and forth. So it makes it stronger, but the grain is irregular. It's going to be different each time, so we can't run it through the planer. So when we're running this through, we always take a look at the thickness of our board first. And I saw that this one was about 3/8. And so we need to adjust. Let's go to a different spot. So right here is where we got our gauge. And this is going to tell us what the board is going to be run through when after it goes through, right? And so we always start at the thickness of our board. And it's about 3/8 right here. And so to raise and lower, we got this wheel. I'm going to go clockwise and turn that up and get it to about 3/8, okay? And then we're good to go on running this board through there, okay? One thing we need to check is to make sure that the vents are on. And it says a gate. There's no gate on this one. So follow me for a second. The vents, I'm just going to turn them on for us to hear it. But we don't want to run this tool without it. It creates a lot of sawdust. And so we want to turn these on, okay? So that turns on all the vents when we really get going in the shop. The vents are going and we're getting all that sawdust out of here. And so that one is key, but I'm not going to do it right now. Just the sawdust is going to come out, so we'll clean it up. Powering it up right here. We got to pull this out, kind of like our bandsaw over there, and then we can push right here. As we put a board in, going right there. I got to raise up a little bit versus grab. So, again, it's a surfacer. We had a rough surface, and now we just cleaned both of those up. You saw when I was putting this in, I don't put my fingers on top of the board. This is a pinch hazard. It's going to grab the board. I don't want my fingers to get caught right there and get pinched. So as I got to the end of that board, I'm always going to be pushing in with my palm. If it gets too close, I'm not going to be reaching right here. Okay, I'm going to grab a different board like I did and push it through with it. And a lot of times we have a stick just sitting up top here, and this is what it's for. It's to help push those kind of things through. So we have a push stick to help us if it's getting stuck on the inside of it. I fed with the grain, okay? You saw those rollers in there. If I tried to run it through here, number one, it's not going to get through because it's not long enough. Number two, if it's all cutting in one spot, it might bend and break the board. So we're always going to feed with the grain when we use this thing, okay? I turned it on and ran the power. We're not going to mess with this. This is the speed that we're going. And this is 30 feet per minute. So I could run, if I had a 30-foot board, it would take 1 minute for it to get through this machine. Okay. I only ran it through once, but as we make cuts, then we're going to raise this up. You can see it right here. It says to go up, we could turn this way. Down, we're going that way. And then 1 revolution is about a 1/16 of an inch, right? So I would run it 1 time, and that's the next cut. So even if I have to take off like a 1/2 inch, I can only go 1/16 at a time because of the amount of material that it's taken off. So it's not good to just run a big thick board and try and take a bunch of material off of it. Is it okay to plane particle and plywood? I said no and no. There's our plywood, there's our particle board, don't do it. When using the machine, make sure the dust collector is on. True. The depth scale shows how thick your board will be when it comes out. That was our depth scale over here. Yes, that's how thick it will be when it comes out. Is it okay to look in the throat? Didn't mention this. You saw some of that sawdust. If something gets caught, one of your boards gets caught in there, the blades are spinning this way and they're on top, and they're going to grab that board and they're going to throw them out. And so we want to make sure that we're never looking in there to see what's going on. Okay, we just know that it's getting its job done and cutting it up. Feed material in the machine with the grain always. Yes, that's true. So with the grain, we would never do it like that. Okay. And then wood must be at least 8 inches. Okay. That's false. We need 12-inch board. It's got to be longer than that. Never take off more than a 1/16 in a single pass. Yeah, we talked about that. 1 revolution each time we'll make a cut. And then knives that do the cutting are located below the wood. That's false. Okay, we saw the blades on top. We're running it through. It's cutting that top surface off. And so that one's false on there. It is okay to adjust the height while the machine is running as long as there is no board in the planer. That is true. Once we get a board in there, we don't want to be messing with our height adjustment. We want to let it run all the way through. When possible, always try to run boards through the middle area of the machine. And that's talking about this surface, right? So come take a look. So when I run a board through, I want you to spread out. I don't want all the boards right here. Typically, people put them all in the middle, and so the sharp parts are on the outside. If you want a good clean cut, you're going to put them out here. Okay, we want to try, if you're running through a board through multiple times, go once here, once there, and then next time you come through, keep shifting over a little bit so that you don't wear out the blade just in the middle. The only thing I would suggest is stay about 1 inch away from the edge there, okay? Because there's a gap on the inside, and so when it comes up to that gap, if you're too close, it might get stuck right there. So we want to make sure we're a little bit away from that edge, or don't feed it in like this. Go like this a little bit. So it's going to feed across and away from that gap that is in the middle. If the wood becomes stuck in the planer, what things should you do? If it is stuck, you should, I want to make sure I'm reading the right ones, use downward and forward pressure. A lot of times what happens is that a board gets stuck in there and then it lifts up a little bit, okay? And so what you do is push down and in to get it to go through, okay? So make sure to push down and in to get that through. And then, or if you saw that mine kind of got stuck in there, use a push stick. If the board's stuck right there and you can't do anything about it, grab a push stick, get that one going through, okay? Next one, name 3 things that should be checked before feeding a board through. Number 1, whether you have nails or staples or anything like that, make sure the dust collector is on. We turn that on. And then also the thickness is correct for the size board that you got right now. Mine is not correct. I would have to lower this down for the correct size board. Last one, it is okay to run a real long board through the machine, and if so, what would you need? And you need to make sure that you stabilize it. So yes, it's okay, but you want to support it. So we want to support it as you're putting it in, and then once it gets about halfway, you're going to jump to the other side and try and support the material on the other side of it. So there is the end.